say that about Waco, but then people were like, really?
But,
we have an In-N-Out now.
Waco.
I care. Whataburger's better anyway.
I've heard, I don't eat meat, but I've heard that out of the two, really, the Whataburger is the better hamburger.
I think In-N-Out's
I've heard a lot of things about a lot of joints. Like if you're in the East Coast, it's Wawa, and if you're
I don't,
Wawa
so I
was
lived in
the
Maryland for 2 years.
Yeah.
I thought Wawa was ass. But
Really?
Whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's a gas station, so
it's all
it's
this
as good as
store.
it possibly could be coming out of a gas station.
I thought
Right.
we were still talking about hamburger places. I was like, that's a grocery store. Or it's like a convenience store.
Yeah, it is, but they're like people just.
No, but people
love
like
it.
obsess over their sandwiches.
It's kind of
and
like how
stuff.
people obsess over In-N-Out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're crazy.
Like Annapolitans go nuts for Wawa. I'm like, I lived in Annapolis, and I was just like, you guys, you have problems. Like, y'all get excited about that? Like, wow. Valero, yes. Like, no.
Is that recording?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, no,
Did you go
that's-
on the outtakes?
Yeah. No. It just figured we would.
Oh, yeah.
We'd arrive
I
at
would
the.
prefer to go with more of a dialogue than just
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Very verite.
Yeah, instead of just like, what's your favorite
Tell
color?
us about your young life.
Yeah.
There's
Tell
lots
us
to tell.
You have explain your relationship with your father.
Ah. God, that would be 7 hours of video right there. Oof.
If we were gonna do that, you'd probably need the couch and
I would need the couch. You know, I would need to have a cigar and a very professorial attitude.
maybe
Yeah.
some brandy.
Yeah.
Some brandy, yes, if I could.
That'd be really
Um,
embarrassing. I'd be like,
Oh God.
Oh God.
Well,
Yes.
thanks for taking the time to
Yeah,
chat with us.
Yeah, of course.
so let's see. Just to start, I was very excited to meet you. One of the ones I like from my anime I remember getting into for the first time when I was past like 10 or 12.
Right.
Besides Dragon Ball Z was Full Metal Panic. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
I feel like that was a gateway for so many people into
Yeah.
like more obscure anime. Like the gateway
It
from
was.
like the popular TV stuff into like now I'm becoming a hardcore anime fan. Like
That
Full
was-
Metal Panic introduced so many people.
That was certainly the case for me. It made me destroy a computer. So
Really?
You did.
yeah, this is probably horrible to say, but I was 15 at the time. I definitely torrented it, and then
You were 15.
yeah, and I had it go on the laptop overnight, and it burned down all the fans.
See, that's
So-
called karma.
Never did it again.
Yeah. Don't
So,
pirate.
Never did it again. Pirating is bad.
Yes, burns your computer down.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's
You
that's
will
interesting.
pay.
Of course, I have a soft spot for that show, for Sosuke. Yeah.
So have you heard anything about the new season they're doing yet? I mean, I know first it's got to happen over there.
Yeah, and it's starting to happen, you know, but I mean, not a peep over here yet.
I mean, all we got from over there is a confirmation. I
Right.
haven't heard anything
I
else,
think there's been
so.
some artwork now that's
Really?
been released, yeah. But all I can imagine is that what will happen is that it will go to, the license will go to Funimation, and I bet they will farm out the dub to Sentai. That's all I can, because
Yeah.
I just, if there is for sure a dub, which I can't imagine there wouldn't be,
Yeah.
I don't see how they could get away with not at least using Lucy, Christian, and I.
Yeah.
Not to
that would be
mention-
weird.
It would be weird.
Yeah.
It would be really weird, and not to mention the whole backup cast too. I mean, like Greg and Monica and all this. I mean, yeah, it would just be.
Who played Mr. Gates? Because they were phenomenal. The villain in the second season, second Ray, the blonde guy. God.
Oh, was that Mike McRae? Mike McRae. Yeah.
He was awesome.
He was fantastic. That voice he has. God,
So crazy.
Yeah.
That's that guy. I haven't actually seen it. That's the guy you showed me. Right?
Yeah,
That's
the
like,
blonde guy that's
the
like
sing-song.
he
Yeah.
does, like he sings Ave Maria and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
right.
and they're killing
He's a
all those
stand-up
people.
comic.
Oh
in
yeah, I
Houston.
believe it.
He's a big. Actually, he's been on David Letterman.
Really?
Because he's a stunning impressionist. Not a painter, but he does impressions. Sorry, and Mike McRae is sick talented. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that one's just huge for me. So it's very exciting.
Second Raid.
Well, all of them.
Second Raid is my favorite
Yeah.
because I like that it goes to darker places than the other two.
It really does. I have to say. I will say, first place I think I ever really learned, at least an American voice actor's name was at the end of Fumofu, when you and Lucy just kind of talked to each other out of character.
Oh yeah. I totally forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
funny. Mofu is good. It's good.
It's fun.
I love the amusement park episode with Blake Shepard,
Mhm.
and that whole arc there is fun. Yeah.
So do you have like favorite downtime moments like that, like just the kind of like witty banter, like when recording?
Yeah. Oh, probably nothing. I mean, yes, most of it's blue, but you know, like we have a lot of fun because the process in and of itself of creating a dub is kind of arduous and it's very technical, and it's like this much art and craft versus this much technical BS that you have to do to make it really work. So in downtime between takes and whatnot, or between going in scenes, yeah, it's we cut up terribly and say horrible things, and sometimes like sometimes I will just keep talking just to entertain the engineer and the director, and I'll be like da 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 da, and then I'll just say something horribly offensive in the character's voice, especially if it's like the voice of like an innocent like 17-year-old mech hero. And I'm like da but da 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 da. Oh, horrible words and awful things coming out of my mouth, and then of course the engineer and director are just laughing uncontrollably. And that's great. I love that.
I think I heard something like that in the last bit of the Full Metal Alchemist Blu-ray.
Probably
the outtakes. I think you're Greed and you're
Did they
talking to
leave
Armstrong, and you're like, please put on the fucking shirt.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would say. Yes. Well, if I mean you can edit. So So there. I was recording a Black Bullet with Chris Ayers and our engineer, and he was like, Patton, do you know there's a lube called Fuckwater? And I'm like, I am aware of this, yes. And he's like, you Fuckwater? I'm like, yeah. And he like looked up the website. Oh my god, it's got a website. I'm like, yes, Chris, it's a very popular kind of lube, actually. So I was doing things in retard. I was like, hey, we've got to get up. Whatever. It's like, duck now, because they're gonna throw Fuckwater at you. And so I would just say, and then we would just stop everything, and Chris and the engineer would fall out. And I'm like, yes, I love that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Good.
You gotta keep it light, because sometimes you're in there 3, 5, 6 hours, and it's just,
Gotta be tedious.
you'll go insane. Yeah.
Have you been a part of that whole new, like the dubbing while it's simulcasting?
No, so that's, oof, crotch is vibrating, but it's just my phone. That's a Funimation thing, and I will tell you this, while I have not worked at Funimation about 5 or 6 years, I just got a private message on Twitter the other day from a director there saying, do you want to come be in my show at Funimation? And I'm like, sure.
That's
Why
exclusive.
Well,
And I
that's
can't-
awesome.
Yeah, and it's a broadcast show. I don't know if it's one of the ones that is
Currently airing,
simulcast,
yeah.
but it's a broadcast show, and I'm going to be kind
that'll
of
be
like
awesome.
a guest star character of the day or whatever.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that they're doing that, like, while it's currently airing. Like,
kinda weird.
Yeah, I was interested
the
to see
turnaround
how
time
it
is,
go.
like,
It's 4
insane.
weeks
The
of that.
turnaround time
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's about 4 weeks, which
Right.
I have to imagine they're like burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, because we were talking with
Good
the
80s
recording,
bands.
the recording process. It's like there's like beeps that you have to like.
That's so not in Houston, but almost everywhere else. There are beeps, and you talk on the 4th beep.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, they've never done that in ADV/Sendai, and we do what's called chasing audio.
Okay.
So they show you the scene once, and then they show it to you again, and you just act to the scene and you match the flaps. But yeah, whenever you go to Dallas, you get beep, beep, beep,
Yeah.
talk, and yeah. Neither way is better or worse for me. I'm so, whatever, you know.
With that, I'm a little curious. You do some work in Houston, some in Dallas. Is that for like different groups, like Sendai?
Right, so anything, well, first of all, most of what I do nowadays is I narrate audiobooks. That's my primary means of making a living. Anime, I still do a lot of it, but right now all the anime I do is in Houston. Well, I did just do some Pokemon, but I did that out of Houston because when they hired me before for Pokemon, I was in Maryland, and I just took Amtrak up to Manhattan. Now they're like, but my character came back, and they're like, but you're in Houston. So I did it at a local studio in Houston, and they Skyped in the director, and you know.
No, I was wondering if they
So I was
did
able to
most of these
record
guys.
some Pokemon right from Houston. But mainly what I do is at Sentai. I do the audiobooks out of my home. I do Sentai over in Southwest Houston near the Galleria.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anime misses you. We need more. Come on back.
Right? And now it looks like I'm going to be doing some Funimation again, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
You would love to do
Dallas.
more, by the way.
Right.
Sure. I like working. Working is good.
Yeah.
You know why? Because paying your bills is awesome.
I will
Adulting.
totally- yeah, adulting.
I
Yeah.
still owe you for power down.
Yeah, you do owe me for utilities.
These guys.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
So, man.
So,
Right.
who have been your favorite characters that you portrayed as?
Right now, the answer to that question is always in flux, of course. But right now, I just have a particular soft spot for Hajime and Ghost Stories, which is back on Crunchyroll.
Right.
now.
Oh, that was the dub that we were
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah. Okay, that one.
Yeah, and
Yeah, he's the main guy in that.
this guy named the lead guy in a show called Welcome to the NHK, which is a show about sort of an agoraphobic conspiracy theorist, and
I've been meaning to watch that one.
it's
It's in my
really
queue,
good. Like
yeah.
it's really cool.
I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, it's both of those are just two of my current faves. I do also, as of stuff that I've been working on really recently, I did have a lot of fun playing Run in A Kame Got Killed because he was sort of an atypical villain, and I liked playing Rintaro in Black Bullet because he was the first lead guy I voiced in a while that was older than a teenager. So that was cool. it's you know, it's kind of cool when you can voice someone sort of, well, he wasn't near my age, he was like 21, but still, that's more than 17.
anime
Closer,
years.
yeah.
Closer, in anime years,
He's
practically
yeah,
48.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So yeah, those have been some of my, that's what's on my mind right now.
So what made them great? Just the characters themselves? Or-
Well, Sato for NHK was very close to home because I've dealt with agoraphobia and anxiety disorders all my life.
Yeah.
Sorry, something funny was just happening. And so there was that. And Hajime and Ghost Stories just because it's freaking funny.
Oh my
Yeah.
It's just so funny, and I love making people laugh, and that show is hysterical.
Yeah, it's really funny to watch. I'm just trying to think of some of the best bits in it.
Like,
Oh,
there's so
it's
much great
like
stuff in
where you just
there.
say,
I'm hung. Yeah, there's the show is just full. Yeah, I love the fact that it actually went viral a few months ago because a Reddit forum started about it, and then all of a sudden the funny clips from Ghost Stories on YouTube went from
Yeah.
like 200,000 views to like 3 million.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I was
wow.
definitely one of those people.
The power of like something going viral, it's ridiculous. But
Reddit.
so now
Yeah.
So now Ghost Stories is kind of quasi-legendary, even with people who don't watch anime. They're like, what is this? It's awesome. I always think it's a terrible tragedy that it never made it onto like Adult Swim. I think it would have just slayed.
Yeah.
I think it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, at least it's coming back now.
it is. It kind of won't die. And now, a few more thousand people discover it, and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing. So I signed a bunch of Ghost Story stuff this weekend.
Nice.
Yes.
No, I've watched people talk about it before, at least on like the production level. But for you, when you went in there to record, was it really just kind of like, this is things about the main character, this is what you have to deal with?
It was
How
like
much freedom did they really give you?
the freedom was like this. The Japanese said keep the main spine of the plot lines intact, and we've got to keep the character names the same. Apart from that, do whatever you want to make this title sell. And so Stephen Foster said, okay, and he wrote a lot of it on off the cuff. He would write it as we watched the video, and then if we had something to contribute, and if he thought it was funny and it fit, then that's why we're all credited as writing it, because it was primarily him, but it was a team effort too. Like Greg wrote a lot of his lines, I wrote a lot of my lines, Monica wrote a lot of her lines.
Yeah.
We all contributed, and it was a lot of
Some
fun.
improv in there?
There was sometimes it would just be odd. The video would roll, and I'd be like, Steven, wait, let me try something, and I would say something just absolutely ridiculous that I thought might fit, and he's like, yeah, we're keeping that, okay. So yeah, we got to freeform it a little bit. It was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good. Not a normal experience.
Not a normal experience at all for dubbing anime. No, and we really got to flex our improv and comedy muscles, and even our
I'd like
writing
to see
muscles.
something like that now, but maybe a show built around it.
Yeah, like something that's purposefully
Yeah.
produced
Out
that
there,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get like a baseline for a plot written down, and then just kind of let people go wild.
Well, like the Christopher Guest films, like the Waiting for Guffman or This Is
Yeah.
Spinal Tap,
Right,
or
right,
those
right.
movies where they tell the actors, or Best in Show is another one where they say, okay, you're going to do a movie about this misfit group of rock stars, here's the spine of the scene, go. And they
Yeah.
just improv their way through it. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome. Be glad to see. With anime, I guess it's different because you have to do so much.
Right, and you've already got so much stuff pre-done,
Yeah.
so you've got to work around
You'd have
that.
to build a series off of that, which I think would be interesting on its own.
It could be done.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
really interesting to see how it works.
And be like,
If
look
it
how
works.
viral this went.
Right?
Now, just hear us out.
Listen,
I know it sounds crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
People eat the shit up.
they do. People love pervy humor.
But they
That's
do.
okay.
Yeah.
It's because adulting is a lie. It's
Adulting
always
is
funny.
super alive.
I saw a quote not too long ago from some philosopher or author or something, and it said something to the effect of, there are no adults. It's just a lot of people growing older and faking it really well. And I'm like, yeah, that's so true.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Because you know, like, being a kid and an adult is all sort of an illusion that we create to just define things. But you never, like, I literally sometimes feel like I'm 17 years old. I literally feel that way. And I'm like, no, you're 44. And you've got to pay bills, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but sometimes and sometimes I feel like I'm 25, and sometimes I feel 47. You know what I mean? And it's all just whatever you're doing, where your head is that day.
That's fair. I mean, we're both like 25 and we watched anime and played video games last night till like 3 in the morning. So I mean,
You watched
Exactly.
Outlaw Star.
yeah, I watched Outlaw Star.
I mean, and that's awesome. You know,
Yeah, totally. Well,
It's super adult.
25, y'all are babies. It's okay.
absolutely.
Good. That's good to hear. Because I'm
That's
just
comforting.
as
I was
confused as
25 is the first time though that you start to really become aware of age, I think.
I
Even
heard
though
that,
it's like
yeah.
25 is insanely young, but it's the first time you're like, it's the first like milestone year. It's like, oh my god, 25.
I can rent cars now.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
you can rent cars.
Then I injured my ankle and it's actually stayed that way a bit. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh yeah, I did
right?
that too.
It gets cold now and I'm like,
Right?
Storm's
You're not
coming.
17
I
any
feel a
longer.
storm coming. It's like my
That's
ankle
right. I
tells
see
me.
Get you a rocking
there's a
chair.
tornado coming.
Yeah.
My ankle tells me.
Best get the kids inside.
Get me the Aleve. Yeah, it's weird.
So let's see. One last one. Anything
Sure.
that you've seen recently, maybe that's not dubbed yet, that you might be interested in dubbing?
No, because I'm
No
not.
time?
I'm not. I feel so bad whenever I get like faced with this, but it's the absolute truth. Even my partner right now, he's not like a giant. He likes anime, and
Yeah.
he'll be like, "Hey, have you checked out da 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 da?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "You might want to check it out, because maybe Sentai might license it, and you might be great for it." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," and I'll write it down. I'm like, because between narrating audiobooks and working on anime, like late at night when I put on Netflix or Hulu, what I want to watch is like an indie horror movie or a quirky drama, and I'm just so not up on what's au courant like anime wise.
Fair
You know what I
enough.
mean?
That's fair.
Yeah, and yeah, I've had 2 different people tell me things that I should be looking out for this weekend. I can't. One is some sort of monster show, and the other is, but they're like, it seems like shows that Sentai is gonna license, and you'd be great for the lead. I'm like, I don't know, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That's another thing, is there's a misconception that like they're like, you should go for this show. I have no say.
Yeah.
It's if the
Yeah.
director wants to audition me, and but although one of the cool things about being a vet of the industry now is I don't audition for about 80% of what I'm in. They're like, Patton, you're gonna come do this role. Okay, cool. Like rarely do I
I'll
have.
be there in 5.
What are
The only time I
auditions
have
for?
to audition is when the Japanese are like, we want to hear the voice.
Okay.
And then and the director's like, I know you can do this. This audition isn't for me. It's for the Japanese, and you've got to meet with their approval. I'm like, okay, so
Fair enough.
fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's rare. You know, that sounds
Must be
so
nice
like
though to be at that
braggadocious.
point.
But
Yeah.
no, it's just because if you've directed me for so many years and you know my voice, like, why do you need to audition? You know,
Yeah.
and it's true, and they don't.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Push for One Punch Man.
What?
One Punch Man. Yeah.
I've heard about that so much. This
Oh
week.
yeah,
I
it's
know you have.
it's pretty entertaining. You should
Awesome.
check it out.
There's a lot
Okay.
of room in there too for a lot of different characters. So
Yeah.
some pretty big roles for.
Has it been licensed?
Not that
I
I've
don't
heard
think
it
so.
yet. I know it's already getting a second season.
Well, and it's
but
between.
how
It's on
popular it was.
Daisuke and.
It's on a lot of.
It's on a lot of
It's
the
on Hulu.
streaming, so
Daisuke.
it's not like any one particular person has it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
definitely worth it. But
I'll look
Yeah.
out
I
for
don't know
it.
how Hulu licensing goes. But
yeah, well, thank you for taking the time to
Thank
sit
you
down with
guys.
us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.